what's up, guys? Welcome, and we've got something to get into here. Todd is joining me today because Todd, you saw this YouTube video that I just posted right here, right? Asking if the Pocket cameras are overhyped, and then you were nice enough to go, I have some thoughts. Let me see if I can blow this one up, right? How did I miss this conversation? I have thoughts. And so we had to do this to kind of hash it out. So for the record here, I think, just to set everything straight, you and I both have the Pocket 3. We've shot on a lot of these different cameras. So part of this for me is, and I had told Jake in that clip on the podcast, it's kind of a shower thought for me. You had mentioned it. We're kind of in this echo chamber of like, we've covered these for so long. Part of this is just an intellectual exercise for me because I love these cameras, but my question was, and so we're going to get into, are they overhyped right now? Is it a fad? Or you've kind of taken the stance, and I'm interested to hear your side. Is this shifting how cameras are made, and what does the future look like? And I have some thoughts that we haven't gotten into on your show or my show about what I want to see next, and where I think there is a giant hole in this market that somebody has to fill. And is it Canon? I don't know. We got to talk about this, but give me your thoughts and your kind of update on this stuff.
Okay. Well, first of all, I saw this and I was like, well, if we're gonna have this conversation, I had to wear a special shirt specifically. And it even says on there, the future is now.
It doesn't, you know what? You missed the option of putting Act 2 Spark on there.
I did. I designed this before I made that one. So yes, I am all in on these cameras. And let me tell you why. One, and you guys talked about it on your channel, and some of the people even on my channel have been like, well, that overheats in these long situations. And I'm like, okay. And I'm going on a little tangent here, but like my mirrorless camera actually overheats sooner than this. So, and many of us have all been using those professionally for a long time. Beautiful image, not knocking them. I love my mirrorless cameras. Overheating is getting overhyped in this conversation because this thing that my experience has been, they run really well for a fairly long time without, I've not had an overheat issue yet. So that's just, I want to say that as an aside.
Okay, that's point one. Have you had a lot of comments on your channel that they're overheating? I haven't seen that as a major issue. I just know every release has, does it overheat?
A couple of people have said they ran into overheating issues. And I said, well, what was the, or no, they were, no. One person said he was concerned about it for long form interviews. I'm like, well, how long is the interview? And when he said, I think he said 45 to 50 minutes. I was like, well, that would overheat my other cameras too. I would have to bring out my FS5 to avoid that. You need a big camera body that's going to deal with all that processing for a long period of time. And smaller form factor cameras, admittedly, that's probably a weak point. But to how you set this up, I do believe the technology in these is setting up a new iteration of camera that is going to be here to stay. I don't think that this is just a gimmick. The cameras are just too good. The science is just too good. And everybody wants more convenience. I know, and you guys had a really hilarious episode. I loved it because it's true. Talking about rigging out your camera, and now you can charge $500 or more for the day because you come in with this thing with a matte box, but you're not doing anything. It's just, look what I have. I am a cameraman.
It'll probably be up here somewhere. We'll put it right there.
Yeah. And that's hilarious. But at the same time, I think that as people begin to get comfortable with this becomes something that's a very usable tool. On my most recent video that I posted, I think it was funny because I even showed the ballerina's reaction. She looked at it, was like, that little thing? And I'm like, yep.
That video, can we'll put that over. I need to get my hands right in this layout. We'll put that one over here, maybe now, right here, because that was a really good one. I love that. And you made some points that I didn't cover in this other video that I did that I do think are some solid points on this.
Well, and that's just it. Especially, and my point is, if you're a documentary filmmaker, one of the most awkward things for people who aren't professional on-camera talent or aren't actors is having a camera in front of them. They like immediately freak out. You put this little tiny thing there in front of them, and now there's nothing in the way of you and the person.
Right.
Suddenly we're having a very natural conversation, and that's awesome. You know, it usually takes a while to break through that when it's all the show and the matte box and rails. But when there's just this little thing, they're like, oh yeah, they just forget that it's even happening. And that makes for my favorite type of content, because they aren't scripted and they're just being natural and talking about their thing. I think what's nice about these two, as we've talked about, as a tool, I've got my camera bag, I'm going on a job. This little thing fits in just one of the slots. And now I know I can do gimbal work. I can do BTS. I can do all sorts of stuff with this thing that I barely even have to think about throwing in my bag. The other caveat I will say, and again, I'm not trying to beat you up. I know you like the form factor of the GoPro. I don't like that super wide
You're running
angle.
through all of our points. We haven't even gotten to the debate or the points yet. I like it. You're like, you
sorry.
came in, here's the problem.
I came in hot
on that YouTube earlier, and you were like, I'm getting my points together. I love it. No, I'm not going to cut you off.
But we can
all of the good points though.
But we can break it down. We can break it down. But like, I don't like that super wide angle. I find it very unnatural if the camera's in motion, because that stuff around the edges is distracting to me. I don't know. It's me and my squirrel mentality of like, oh, what's happening? I like the 20 millimeter aspect ratio as opposed to whatever that would 155 degree translates to. It's just too much for me. I don't like the distortion.
Are you talking about on the GoPro specifically?
On the GoPros, yeah, okay. GoPro and even the Action 6. I'm fighting with it all the time. I prefer to put my Action 6 actually into the 2x lossless to get a 35 millimeter look. That's my aesthetic. It's, you know, that's just a choice. And that's why I think these cameras just have nailed it for especially vloggers or content creators. But we'll take a step back. So let's go back.
Break it down. So you already hit what my argument was in the first video, which is good. So we've got some common ground at least to debate. And again, we both like all of these cameras. My thesis on this, right? My shower thought that has become kind of a little bit more of a going thesis is that they're just being sold not as a tool, not as something that goes in your bag to cover X, Y, and Z with really strong points, but actually just as it will replace all the things. In our podcast, I had mentioned, I had watched Peter McKinnon had done a video that said this replaces everything in my kit. And that's what started is it an overhyped fad? Because the gimbal game, I mean, there's a lot of marketing that goes into the newest gimbal and the newest motors and the payload. But what I asked Jake too was like, are you using your gimbal on every shot of every project? Or is that, you know, a sniper tool that you pull out when you want a certain shot in your mind or a certain style that you're going for? So to me, as much as I love these cameras, and I need to get all of them over here, here's my thought. In this space, you spent $750, $760 on the Luna. It's an expensive camera. I spent $500 on the DJI Pocket 3, right? So that's the DJI Pocket 3. But in that zone here, like I've got the GoPro. That's this is the 9, and the 13 is the newest one before the Mission. The Mission, they jumped up. So now you're really competing with your cost for the Luna. But then like I've got my GH5 here from a bunch of years ago. You can get these for like $200, $300 online. Fair. And so to me, and this is what I said, the $600, $700, $800 mark, which is where these cameras are competing, is a very competitive space, and it's never been better to buy what you need for your situation. Like you've got so many of these options, and that's where, and so I've got some, maybe we'll bring some of these up first, because I came prepared to a little bit. Just in terms of like, well, where does it work and where doesn't it work? So here's the first, let me show you the first clip, and I want your thoughts on this, because to me, this was, and I will also say this too, I've only pulled clips. I'm looking, because we're talking about overhyped, Not necessarily are these good cameras. I'm not even looking at sensor technology, really. I'm just really looking at like, is the hype, is the marketing for the tool, or is it for things that aren't necessary for the tool? And we all know the marketing machine is really good at marketing things we don't need. Look at GoPro for that, right?
Yeah.
But that's kind of my baseline of the argument. Do I need that tool? So first off, I'm a content creator. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm a content creator. My job is basically I go around and I vlog. Either it's, food content or it's travel content. So I'm traveling a lot. Right. So here's something that extra pointed. Yeah. Go ahead.
Before that, we'll break it down from a technical standpoint. I just want to take one step back on Peter McKinnon specifically. I love Peter McKinnon.
Yeah.
Huge fan. But let's not forget, he got paid to make that commercial. I said commercial, right? that long form commercial. So he may have been a little, what's the word? Expressive or extra in that statement,
right?
Because it's paying his bills. But I do love the camera. So let's go back. Go ahead.
Well, and so you just kind of bled into this overall thesis too, which is it's just overhyping a camera. It's a great tool, and I can find 100 use cases. If you let me take the pro side of the gimbal camera of the Luna, I can give you at least a dozen where I think this fits into my pack completely.
Sure.
But then again, the thesis is, does this sell for multiple years with multiple different brands and companies continually building on this? Or is it a fad where people go, there's other tools that are either cheaper or fit my requirements better, right? So here's, and I will say, because I forgot, my squirrel brain went, okay, here's a clip. But I pulled all of these clips from DJI, Insta360, and Xtra. I'm not digging into every creator that's posted anything, because I think that, I mean, there are a million creators. You're one of them that has put out incredible content with these things and found the use cases. So again, just going into hype, I'm looking at the marketing from these three companies that have these gimbals right now and how they're selling it. And I will say, to me, the most egregious right now was Xtra, just in terms, they're a little extra, they're just, it's in the name. They're just a little extra, but they have come up with, invented, to me, the parts that I think are overhyped. And like you said, in the echo chamber idea, we're probably just living too close to it. But again, that's just the thesis. Is it overhyped? So here's the first clip here of, and again, this is from Xtra. Beautiful cinematography, like beautiful shots, great composure. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, but here, so this clip right here, both of these so far, you're driving. So you're already stabilized. You're using the car for your stabilization, right? A couple of these orbit shots that I'm seeing, this pan down, like, could I do that pretty easily with a GoPro?
Yeah.
I don't see, so far in this, it's pretty shots. But again, like, you're going back to the camera. Or sorry, not the camera, the car shots, you're already locked into these things. You're using the drive-bys. There's a static shot. So on these clips right there, does that require, because here's issue number one for me. There's GoPro. There's like the cost in my pack from this to this is pretty significant. I mean, this will fit in my pocket. This needs another case and another thing to go in. And then on the same thing, I'm traveling around. I'm throwing this thing in my bag a lot. This has electronic image stabilization. Say it's about the same. Maybe this is 1/1.2 or 1/1.3 by the 13. This is the 1 inch. So you've got a little bit more dynamic range in this one, but nothing's going to break on this. The worst case scenario, I'm going to crack a lens and then I can replace that. I have so much more. I told Jake, here's a fear. I always have to keep this protective case on mine. I'm not throwing this in my bag naked because I'm afraid that I would break this, scratch the lens. like there's so much going on here. So
Yeah.
in this case, that was kind of case number one for me. Overhyped. You're selling me Xtra. You're selling me that my content game is gonna elevate way up. What do you think here? Why Luna over GoPro?
Your last point was very solid. I have said this for a lot of things. I even have another t-shirt for that, where the gear doesn't make the storyteller. You know, it's so that I don't like ever that thesis coming from anybody.
Yeah.
But what, and I do, and I will say that one of the huge advantages to the GoPro, the Action, all of those little form factor ones is interchangeable batteries. Ah, gosh, I wish the Luna and the Pockets had that, because I like, that's a really nice way to have some future proofing. Like, I have the original Osmo Action and I still was able to get batteries for it just like 2 months ago. Like, that's awesome. The difference, I think, is that this, while you say, yes, I only have this gimbal camera and I only have use for it for this or that, my theory is that, but yes, but it's also one you can do all of the other shots with. And then you also have the ability to go, oh, now I want a gimbal shot. So it's, you know, you put it on a tripod, you can do all these other things. You can do the same work. It's just like, now it's more flexible than the GoPro. The GoPro has advantages. I should say action cams have an advantage: waterproof, shockproof. You can throw it down a side of a mountain.
Weatherproof, right? Exactly.
Yeah, so that's huge. And I've often been a proponent of, I have both in my camera bag when I go out, because when I want to get a shot where, oh, that would ruin the camera, I throw the action camera down, because I can replace the lens, I can change battery, I can do all the things, and I can get these crazy shots. We used it in a machine shop where oil and shavings were falling down on top of it. I'm like, I'm not putting my mirrorless camera or anything else there, but I could put that in there, give that thing a bath, and I'm back to action. So yeah, the challenge is, if you're a one only camera person, then the argument gets really challenging, because I probably would lean toward the action camera at that point, because it really covers all my bases.
Right.
You have made a valid point. The stabilization in those is ridiculous, especially when you turn on like the horizon balance on the action cam. I'm like, it doesn't even, I'm like, that's some weird voodoo magic too.
Yeah.
And so they're very good. I would say that the difference for me has been, and I will do it again tonight for a job for the radio station, I'm only going to take my Luna. And that's all I'm taking to capture the event. That's a lie. I'm going to take my 360 and get a time lapse while I'm doing work. But I'm just going to take that. I'm not even taking my big camera bag and all my other gear, because I can do man on the street interviews with people. Like, because one of the things I like to do is say, why do you support our radio station? Is a public radio station, so it's supported by listeners. So it's always good to get that, like, hey, so why are you a fan of the Summit FM? You know, and so I'm able to do man on the street interviews with it without thinking about it. That's done. I get dynamic shots of everybody having a good time. I can get static shots of the band performing. I can do everything with this camera that I might have in the past. I'd have showed up with my Sony mirrorless, couple lenses, a gimbal, a tripod, and I'm hucking in all this stuff. Now I have this one little bag from K&F. It's like just a little knapsack that I can rock and roll, and it has everything I need for the evening. So it has changed my, see, we talked about this on something else with that guy Dan. My use case, with my use case, this has changed everything in how I'm approaching some of my clients. So it is a game changer for me.